peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is Good Morning Africa, and the television station is Punchline Africa TV. My name is Miriam Ogutu. I trust that your day has started off well, and also good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're tuned in today. Thank you for joining us. I shall be joined by the panel just in a short while. But before they come in, let's look at the statistics on COVID-19 this morning. And Kenya confirmed cases right now stands at 57,093. The deaths are at 1,039 and recovery stands at 37,846. Uganda, the figures have reached 13,000, right now standing at 13,099. 115 of those have died and recovery is at 7,612. And South Africa, still leading country here in the continent in terms of the number of confirmed cases, stands at 728,836 cases. The death toll is 19,539 and recoveries is at 659,259 cases. And then we look at the total cases in Africa this morning. The confirmed cases stands at 1,629,112. The number of deaths is at 47,420 and recoveries is at 1,373,351. And the global figures have surpassed 47.8 million cases. The death toll have surpassed 1.2 million cases, and the global recoveries have surpassed 34.3 million cases. So that is where we stand in line with COVID-19 this morning. So let's just turn our attention to the leading newspapers here in Kenya, and we have a lot to talk about, and this ICC story still makes it on the front pages of the leading newspapers here. So this is a story that looks like shall be here with us for quite a while. And so let's look at the Star newspaper, and on the headlines, that is the main headline. It says ICC sets up pre-trial chamber for Gicheru. Court confirms a lawyer surrendered voluntarily. Names judge to hear the case. So this is a story of quite some national interest. So I'll just take us to the story and find out what's really happening there. On page 6 of the Star newspaper, and it says the International Criminal Court has established a pre-trial chamber to hear the case against lawyer Paul Gicheru. The ICC yesterday also confirmed that Gicheru voluntarily presented himself to The Hague, bringing a fresh twist to the collapsed case against Deputy President William Ruto. Gicheru's case will be heard by Beninese Judge Reine Adelaide Sophie Alapini Gonsu. And in an interview with the Star yesterday, the office of the prosecutor headed by Fatou Bensouda said that the lawyer surrendered in The Hague on his own volition. The office of the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court welcomes Paul Gicheru's voluntarily surrender to the authorities on the Netherlands, the prosecution team told the Star. Now, the details emerged as Ruto's men started claiming that Gicheru's surrender was part of the wider scheme to revive Deputy President's ICC case and subsequently scuttle his presidential bid. Gicheru was slapped with an international arrest warrant in 2015 for allegedly corruptly influencing witnesses to withdraw from the case against Ruto and journalist Joshua Arap Sang, and the withdrawal of 6 of the witnesses, some described as star witnesses, led to the crumbling of the case. And all right, so down there, Kapseret Member of Parliament Oscar Sudi alleged that the state had earlier sent some officers to Eldoret Central Police Station to pick up files recorded during the 2007-2008 post-election violence. And we know that Eldoret, Ruto's political backyard, was one of the epicenters of the violence, in which 35 people were burned to death while seeking refuge in KG Church, Kiambaa, on January 1st, 2008. That story about the Kenyans who were burned in that church there in Kiambaa, it's every time I hear it, it haunts me. It's just one of the, I think, the painful things. You can't even imagine. You're running for refuge in a church, one of the places where you think you will be safe, at least somebody will not dare come. And so they decided, because you've locked yourself in, we're just going to burn the church with people inside. And there were, I think, a mother who had a child on her back, and they were trying to escape, and, they were not able. So it's just one of those terrible times we had to go through as a country. And our prayers, any good meaning Kenyan, that is not a place that we would want to have ourselves go back again. Indeed, it was just very sad indeed. So when you see some of these things now starting to come up again, I think it will ignite even, people have never healed, and that is the truth. Even as we seek to find and build a united Kenya moving forward, there are things that as a country, those difficult conversations, it will come a point where we must have them for us to truly, truly heal, forgive, and just decide, you know what, enough of that. Now that we have, you've come out, you've confessed, forgiven, or whatever has happened, now let's just move on as a country. But until I think we're able to have these very difficult but important conversations, I'm not sure, but that is something that we truly need as a country. So this lawyer is said to have been one of the people who was able to influence corruptly, allegedly, some of the key witnesses there against Deputy President William Ruto's case. And so they withdrew, and the withdrawal of these witnesses, they're said to be key witnesses, helped in the scramble of the case there of DP Ruto and Arab Sang. All right. I tell you, those stories and those memories there from 2007, 2008.
I just wanted to make
Daniel Matsanga, good morning.
Yes, very good morning, Miriam Ogut at our headquarters.
Yes, and I was gonna come to you anyway, but go ahead.
Yes, and I think, Miriam, when we talk about this story of ICC, we have to make it categorically clear that no one is being used to perhaps be able to witch hunt someone. And the kind of narrative that Oscar Sudi is trying to drive and bring on the table, I think it's very divisive. And it sets Kenyans against each other in that, this is a process which was being overseen by the ICC, and the will of justice, I believe, even not just at ICC, but also here at home in Kenya, it should be allowed to run without any kind of interference. And if that lawyer gave himself up in the ICC in the Netherlands, it is upon the ICC to work out and be able to judge him accordingly to the charge sheet that is before them, and be able to bring him to justice. And if it is his case is weighed and it's found that he was substantially liable for interfering with the witnesses, then I believe the next course of action as an international court will be able to be taken against him, and the cases which are affected will also be looked into, and it will be able to spell the way forward. But trying to bring in a narrative that will divide Kenyans along ethnic lines and bring some tensions right now when we are experiencing a relative atmosphere of peace, I think it's quite misleading and divisive for this country at the moment.
Mm-hmm. So the change of heart by reclassive and down-to-earth lawyer. I'm reading from page 6 of the Star newspaper. This is the story on the front pages there, the main headline there on the Star newspaper. But the same story is on all the leading newspapers, the Daily Nation and the Standard, so we shall look at that also. So they say there that the change of heart by reclusive and down-to-earth lawyer has set tanks working. After 5 years with an international arrest warrant on his neck, Gicheru had even secured high court orders in Kenya that blocked his extradition to The Hague by the Kenyan government. Yesterday, a document purporting to be Gicheru's statement to the ICC and whose authenticity could not be confirmed was widely shared on social media. The document alleged that Gicheru had reached out to the prosecutor witness on behalf of the DP. However, lawyers who representing Sang in the ICC case dismissed Gicheru's surrender as having no legal implication on his client. So what we know is the lawyer, Gicheru, he has been having a warrant of arrest over his head. So maybe 5 years later, he's tired of running around and he wants to go out there and clear his name. That could also be why he, voluntarily presented himself to the ICC.
Yes, exactly, Miriam. We both have that burden whenever you have something on your neck that is really unsolved, be it your past, be it your conscience. You have really to have peace with it and be able to close the accounts. And for this lawyer, perhaps he realized that he will not be a fugitive for the rest of his life, and therefore I believe his surrender to the ICC in the Netherlands was in a good move to be able to close the accounts to the ICC and be able to maybe prove himself innocent before the court by turning in whatever he knows about the cases and whatever transpired in what they call the interference of witnesses. So to me, I think it is a matter of clearing his name, which is something good, because at the end of the day, justice will have caught up with him. And remember also, we still have two other more people who are being sought after by the Hague-based court. So to me, that is the best move he would have done, because at the end of the day, the government of the day might have maybe favored him by not turning him over to the Hague. But you never know, times change and governments change. And perhaps he feared sooner or later they would have caught up with him, and justice, the will of justice will have granted him based on those charges that are leveled against him at the ICC. And therefore, the best way forward was to go and clear his name. And I think that is the decision even the rest of the people who are remaining are going to take.
All right, so the same story. Let's just exhaust this story because it's important. It's something of national interest, and then we shall see what else is making news. I know that DP Ruto now has called off all his rallies because he's worried about the rising cases of COVID-19. And also President Uhuru Kenyatta is set to make some announcements today. So did he preempt? But we shall come to that. Let's just finish with this ICC story. So the Daily Nation has this story on page 4, and I'll just read that. It says, what 6 bribed witnesses held against Ruto during the ICC trial? It starts by saying the 6 witnesses, Mr. Paul Gicheru is accused of bribing to compromise the International Court trial of Deputy President William Ruto and Mr. Joshua Arap Sang was central to the case, but judges disregarded their testimony when their credibility became questionable. Record released by the Hague-based court show that one of the key witnesses testified about the purchase of guns. Another described constant text messages purportedly sent to coordinate attacks, while another revealed training of militia to carry out attacks. Claims the prosecution was banking on to support the existence of an organized criminal network to which DP Ruto and Mr. Sang belonged or had knowledge of. The lawyer surrendered to Dutch authorities on Monday and was to be transferred to The Hague to be charged with corruptly influencing witnesses P397, P516, P613, P800, P495 and P536 during the trial that aborted in 2014. Now P397, whom prosecution says was given 1 million by Mr. Gicheru in 2013 to renounce initial statements, later expressed willingness to cooperate with the prosecution, but the court was told that the witness had been abducted, and they put abduction there in quotes. So this is the drama, Daniel, there, as Daily Nation is describing that went around, the process of bribing and all that during this case.
Thank you, Miriam. And first of all, let me debunk sudden change.
I think we're having a problem with your audio there. I don't know what you've done to it.
Yes, Miriam, first of all, I don't know if you are getting me quite well now.
Now you're good. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So let me first of all begin by debunking the sudden change of heart by the Deputy President toward the COVID-19. We know the inception.
We'll come there. Daniel, we'll come there. Let's just do just stick to the ICC. I want us to finish and then we come there because we'll talk about that, which is also important. Yes.
Make some quick connection, but let me just proceed. So I believe William Ruto, the Deputy President, with now the sudden change of events, he's going to meet his Waterloo at the Netherlands, because I believe a lot has been happening, and this particular lawyer, Gisheru, I believe was the wheeler dealer in really interacting with the witnesses, knowing what particular witnesses are held in terms of tests, their testimonies and all that. So I believe once he surrendered at the ICC, then it should raise a lot of alarm to the Deputy President and also among his allies, because now for the very, very first time, the Hague-based court is going to receive a first-hand account of whatever happened in terms of witness interference. And if they are able to break that ice of going past whatever interference that was there to served to bar the will of justice from achieving its cause, then perhaps also for the very first time, they're gonna try and track down those witnesses who are still available. Of course, we are privy to the fact that some of the witnesses mysteriously disappeared, but with this now, with this new development, I believe they'll be able to revisit those cases, and if it is possible, they can be able to bring some of these witnesses and be able to attest to the court if they were some kind of they were bribed in some kind of way, and be able to give now a very, very clear and straight record of their accounts.
Very well. Thank you so much there. And so the prosecution petitioned the judges to allow information related to the witnesses who prosecutors said had admitted to being bribed to be withheld from the defense until their security and attendance are assured. The timing of the occurrence of the abduction, shortly after the witnesses resumed contact with the prosecution, is consistent with the prosecutor's suggestion that witnesses may be detained by persons who may wish him harm. It is inconceivable in the circumstances that alleged abduction relates to his cooperation with the prosecution. The judges ruled on April 16, 2014, when they authorized the prosecution to withhold materials from the defense until the witnesses' security situation was addressed. So that was during, the hearing there of that case. We're joined by Professor Jared Onyari. Professor, good morning.
Miriam, Daniel, and Java, and our viewers from wherever they are.
All right, nice to see you.
This morning or evening,
or afternoon,
depending on the time zone.
Yes, it's morning in the US. Yeah, and we're happy. And we move to Nanyuki. Nanyuki, Jevan Karanja, good morning. All right, Karanja is still connecting, but Professor, you just got it. We're looking at this ICC story, and we see it's still on the leading newspapers this morning. So this is an important topic that we have to talk about, because we know what led to the ICC cases. So this lawyer, contrary to what we've been hearing on the media yesterday, and since he's surrendered himself to the ICC, there has been some politics going around the story of this lawyer surrendering himself. And, the ICC confirmed that this lawyer, surrendered himself. It's not like the Netherlands, maybe he was traveling from there and he was arrested or anything. The lawyer surrendered himself, and perhaps he got tired of running away from the law as a fugitive, and so he decided, let me just go out there and clear my name. Could that be a possibility, or are you reading anything else outside of that? Professor?
Miriam, people have been reading a lot of politics from Gicheru. In fact, from where I sit, Miriam, here you are having an international warrant that wherever you will be seen, you will be arrested, Miriam. Even if you are going to be in Kenya, Miriam, you rather just surrender yourself, go and clear your name. And that way, Miriam, it is even for his own security. Because if someone knows you might be having credible information and one day you may enlist to him, someone may choose to eliminate you. So to me, I feel that let me just go there and clear his name. And in fact, even myself, sometimes now Kenya is part of our part state is a member to ICC. I don't see why we should have not even facilitated, or if we could have not done so, we could have gone an extra mile, Miriam, to come out of ICC. So in terms of rule of law, this lawyer has done very good, Miriam. From where I sit, let me just go face the court, let him be asking the questions, let him just clear his name and he will come back. And now that he has taken himself, he may not be detained, he will be allowed to come back. And like when they were to get him, they could have just put him in until the case is over. Now he's free to be going to do his case and then he comes back. Good of him.
All right, very well. And the story is still on page 4 of the Standard newspaper. Update says, on the front page, it says, lawyer in Ruto ICC case left The Hague without a word. How advocate who had a court order blocking his extradition to the ICC surrendered is puzzling his lawyers. Okay, let's see now. He has puzzled his own lawyers, this lawyer. On page 4 of the Standard newspaper, it says lawyer Paul Gisheru quietly left the country for The Hague, Netherlands, leaving no clue even to his lawyer John Haminwa that he was surrendering to the International Criminal Court. The man, who the senior lawyer claims to be of ill health, did not either meet him or call to explain what he was leaving Kenya and why he took the decision. Dr. Haminwa yesterday said he was surprised after finding out from the media that his client had flown out and was now awaiting processing by the International Criminal Court. He, however, said he had spoken to Gisheru's wife, who is with him in the Netherlands yesterday, and she had explained that they were fine. It also emerged that Gisheru, who is accused of being the Grand Master of Syndicate suspected to have interfered with witnesses in the case against Deputy President William Ruto, is not yet in the custody of the International Court. I have spoken to his wife in The Hague and they are fine. Paul Gisheru, as I know him, does not enjoy good health at all, and I hope the authorities in Hague will not put him into custody. I know him as a client and he should continue to be free. I know they read your paper there. Oh, so the ICC actually reads... They review the papers in Kenya as we do. I think this is something that they've been following, and maybe they've been following from the news that comes out of Kenya. So Gisheru did not even bother to tell his senior counsel, his lawyer there, Dr. Haminwa, that he was leaving. He must have felt, I don't know, he just left and went to The Hague. Perhaps if he would have told his lawyer, and being a lawyer himself, maybe his lawyer would have persuaded him not to go. And maybe this is something he felt he has to do for his own self, for his own conscience. I don't know. What do you make of this? Javan, I don't know if you're there already.
Yes, I'm here, Miriam. Good morning, and good morning to Professor and Matsanga.
All right, good morning to you. Nice to have you. So your thoughts on the ICC lawyer who left to The Hague and handed himself over without even alerting his own lawyer?
Yeah, and that one I think is a very good move that Paul Gisheru did, because that thing of he was wanted, it was a warrant of arrest if he was found anywhere. And I think from his own good and feelings, he thought it was good if he surrendered himself to The Hague. And that is a very good thing, because now he'll have to answer those questions and those issues that are in question. And that is a move that is quite good in this country. Except that in this country, we like associating everything with politics that comes with it. And I saw yesterday the member of parliament from Kapsaret, Oscar Sudi, saying that the government is reviving the case of ICC against William Ruto so that they deter him from becoming the president of this republic. And I quite disagree, because this is Gisheru, and if he has any information that might even be important in future, let him refill in ICC. We are still members of the ICC, And when we tried to come out of the case in the year 2010, around there, members of parliament were in contrary opinion, and they supported that Kenya remains a member of the International Criminal Court in Hague. Therefore, it's a good move, and I think from what we are understanding is that Gicheru was facilitating and facilitating the witnesses from giving the right information, and that is something that is not quite fair, because we know in these cases we need the right witnesses so that we can have justice delivered. And I don't know, but I feel like maybe he has felt like this is the time to give the right information, or he can give some information, and the people should not read a lot of mayhem that the deputy president is the one who is sought. Let Paulo Gicheru be, let him give his own information, and if that information, the international, the ICC court will feel that it might be useful, then they can continue with the cases that were pending, maybe, and that it will be a very good move, because at the end of the day, justice maybe will deliver to the people who suffered in that post-violence election, post-election violence that happened in the 2007. Therefore, it's a good move, and politicians in this country should restrain themselves from using those kind of things that put Kenya into the ICC courts, and they should refrain from using hate speech and violence in these elections, so that we avoid those kind of scenarios happening in future. Thank you, Miriam.
All right, Professor, or even Daniel, by this case at ICC particularly, this lawyer presenting himself right now to The Hague, and when we look at even that story there that the Star cited, the people that were burnt in Kiambaa Church in Eldoret and other places, it was from a particular community and Mount Kenya region, and the DP has made a lot of gains in terms of finding support in Mount Kenya region, and we see his frequent visits there and the number of people he's able to attract when he goes there. A lot of people support him in Mount Kenya region, and that is a fact. But now with this case here, and perhaps some of these things people will start reliving, will that dent his relationship there in that region? Professor. Daniel, and then Professor. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. The first question we have to tackle here is, has Kiambaa Church ever been rebuilt? And we've seen the Deputy President holding a series of church harambes in central Kenya, but no one has ever asked when he's planning to go and hold a similar church fundraiser for Kiambaa Church. And also, question number 2, has those ones who participated in burning of those innocent souls, the women and children in Kiambaa, were they brought to book? Has anyone been held responsible for those atrocities? Has anyone ever given an apology to the families who lost their loved ones in such a very ugly scene and inhumane manner? So to me, Miriam, there's nothing you can talk about reconciliation by the Deputy President going to Mount Kenya. It doesn't matter how many times he goes to Mount Kenya. Without coming back and reconciling with the past, then the ghosts of Kiambaa Church will forever haunt us, and they'll forever live in the books of our history. So to me, I feel like it is only when this case against the Deputy President is closed at the ICC, and the witnesses, and not the witnesses, but the people who suffered during that post-election violence feel like they have received justice through mechanisms that will be put both by the national government as well as the local stakeholders, and also the International Criminal Court, that we shall be able to surge forward as a country. But as it right now, Miriam, as you know, the case against Deputy President and the journalist Joshua Rapsang was not closed like the rest of the other 4. These cases were vacated. That means that we had some kind of technicalities which could not allow the case to be conclusively either executed or maybe to be rendered to be closed or not confirmed like the other people. So to me, I think this step by lawyer Gisheru really opens a can of worm on this matter, and it really also causes a reverberation of the question about the victims of Kiambaa Church and the kind of relationship that the deputy president is trying to forge in central Kenya. And for God's sake, Miriam, they say that let those who call for justice, let those who call for unity do it with a clean pair of hands. Now we have to ask ourselves, as the deputy president is trying to stretch his hand toward the central Kenya, his hands clean. Has he made peace with the people and the ghosts of Kiambaa Church? So that is the most important question that Kenyans, and more so those from central Kenya, should be asking themselves. I rest my case, Miriam.
All right, thank you, Daniel. Professor, will this, now that we're having this case all over, and this lawyer, Paul Gisheru, has presented himself to The Hague, he surrendered voluntarily, as ICC there has confirmed. And we know the much gains DP Ruto has made in the central Kenya region. Will this affect his relationship and perhaps his support there, as a lot of these things people start revisiting, like reading that story this morning about the Kiambaa Church just brought some memories I'd rather not even think about as a Kenyan, but here we are.
Yeah, Miriam, thank you for that good question. You know, the problem in this country is that we want to read everything, politics in everything, which is not good for the country. Miriam, did the lawyer Gisheru held an international warrant from International Criminal Court? Yes. Imagine he cannot move outside this country if he wants to do his business. Mm-hmm. And as long as God gives him life, that is the cloud hanging on him.
Mm-hmm. It's a dark cloud, for that matter.
It's hanging on him. He sleeps, he knows there's a warrant. You never know. Sometimes he might even go to Tanzania and say, he may even get arrested. So, Miriam, let us divorce politics about the Gisheru's surrender to ICC. Mm-hmm. We did not issue the warrant. The warrant has been there
for 5 years.
Miriam,
yes.
Do you know the warrant which has been there for Bashir? Do you know he's supposed to be extracted to go and face justice at The Hague? So let us divorce this kind of politics. Miriam, in addressing the problem facing this country and unite this country, Miriam, the Prime Minister and the President came with BBI, with the handshake. And others have refused to be part of this. This is what will bring healing to the country. But as long as, Miriam, we do not address the underlying issues to injustice which has been done to the people, I always say, Miriam, there will never be peace without justice. And the justice must be tempered with mercy. If we have to move as a people, were people burned in a church in Kiambaa? Yes. Have the perpetrators been prosecuted and the just brought? No. So you cannot wake up one morning, Miriam, and you assume people who lost their loved ones, people who lost their properties, that all is well. Yes, we may be quiet. And the silence, Miriam, when you don't have an answer, silence is a golden answer. The fact that people are quiet, does not mean that all is okay. We have an opportunity to reconcile this country. We are talking about truth and justice. Let us know who did what. So we choose that. Can we live in the past? No. Let us face the future. So, but what you want to see, you going to Mount Kenya, or you want to do this, I was telling you, Miriam, I knew the narratives or what will come out with the several visits of the Deputy President to Central Kenya. He is trying to create a narrative that these people, even if you do what, they will not support you. And from what Oscar Suda said, that it is the government, Miriam. Which lawyer will be a fool, Miriam, to be told by someone, take yourself to hell, to go to jail? Oh, tell me which one. You surrender yourself, You have got a court order and you are surrendering yourself. So nobody can induce you, no man can induce you to make you go. So Miriam, what I want to say that can we divorce politics from everything what happening in this country? It is alleged that Gicheru tampered with the witnesses. May he appear before the court
surrender
and declare his name. That is the best it can.
All right.
So let the president not say, oh, these people have been trying to do, oh, they want to fix me. Nobody's fixing him. The warrant was issued long time ago.
In 2013.
And the person who has taken himself there, the court has confirmed that he took himself there. It is not the government which handed him there. So Miriam, that's what I have to say on that.
All right.
Tuache siasa, kusoma siasa kwa kila kitu.
Kwa kila kitu. Sawa sawa, Professor.
Na tutafute mbinu ya kuleta nchi yetu pamoja na tutaweza fanya hivyo kupitia kwa BBI.
Very well. And if found guilty of committing crimes against administration of justice, Gicheru is to spend 5 years in jail or a fine in accordance with the court's rules of procedure and evidence, or both. The court had announced on Tuesday that through its registry services, it had submitted a request to the Dutch authorities for the arrest and surrender of the lawyer to the court upon completion of the necessary national arrest proceedings. So there we are. So if found guilty, 5 years. Jevan, is there anything you can add to that before we move to people cancelling, rallies all over a sudden? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and let me say this, Miriam. If Paul Gicheru, the lawyer, is found to have tampered with witness, let the due process of laws in ICC deal with him. And if he is to be jailed, let him be jailed because he interfered with the witnesses. Therefore, justice was delayed because he interfered with those people who could give crucial information on what transpired in Kiamba, in what transpired in other places that these kind of killings were happening. And we know not only killing, but also destruction of property and rape cases and all those manner of cases that happened in 2007, 2008 post-violence election. Therefore, and I think that the head should come also in book and look if he interfered with witness and they feel like they can revive some cases. Let them go. They have the capacity. They have what it takes to do that. Let them do. But let not people who have started fearing that it's the government who is fixing them in Hague. Nobody is fixing them. It is the deeds and the people who have done these deeds that are afraid. People who are straight and who are clean. They have nothing to say about fixing and being fixed in the ICC courts. And Miriam, you are talking about something very important of the Kiamba church. And people have thought that people forgot. Kenyans, they don't forget these things easily. They always suspend that memory for a period of time. And that is what exactly happened. And when you go around even this Mount Kenya region, people understand what happened. They know. You cannot fool them that because you are giving them wheelbarrows, you will faint their memories. Those memories were just there suspended. And for the sake of peace, and for the sake of unity, and to avoid such occurrences in future, that is why they supported President Uhuru Kenyatta move to handshake with the deputy president, because they thought their peace will be found in the entire Rift Valley region. And that thing happened in 2013 and 2017. Therefore, this kind of trying to revive those memories and trying to think that the government of the day is fixing you. Why did not the government fix you in 2013? Why is it fixing you now? Therefore, this is kind of trying to bring some tactical games that these people are trying to fix me because I'm loved in Mount Kenya. I'm trying to go these trips in Mount Kenya and they feel like I have numbers. That is why they want to take me there. These are things that are not happening. And I think if these people feel good, they have been building and rebuilding churches in the entire Mount Kenya region. Why not Kiamba Church where people suffered? Miriam, if you go to YouTube and you watch those clips, you see people who have suffered, people whose life changed, and they are not normal even to them. They are suffering. They are going through a kind of emotional distresses that are caused depression and some other terminal must come to an end. And in future, if you have done such kind of a mess, the best you can do is to go and seek for forgiveness so that those people will forgive you and they will accept you back. We know things happen even in our families where you can wrong your parents or your brother. And when you reconcile and you forget those things moves on normally without even bringing those kind of things. And Miriam, I'm seeing a very bad scenario in our politicians, in what our politicians are doing. They are trying to create all these things around ICC. And when they do that, they start rejuvenating the spirits of tribal, where people now start feeling that if now what the likes of Oscar Sudi are doing, they're inciting the people, the entire nation, to rise against the people who are in those regions. Because when you tell them that those people are fixing our man in ICC, what are you telling them? You are telling them to act, and if anything will happen in future, the people to be blamed are the people from a particular place. These kind of things is what we call hate speech and incitement. And the commission that deals with these things of hate speech and incitement should come up in speed and bring these these people into books, so that they can refrain themselves from using such words that can cause violence in future. And we have a country to rebuild. And I think in his capacity, even the likes of Oscar Sudi, they could be in front line of supporting the Building Bridges initiative, because it's a process that tries and is trying much to heal this nation and to bring reconciliation. And that is the way we want to go in this nation, so that we have peace and prosperity, and we forget those kind of memories, and we start focusing on a future that is based on an ideology that is based on development, that is not based in this tribal and ethnic incitement that will take this country nowhere. Because if in any case such kind of things happens in 2022, I know some people even will not have to go through, they will go to Hague and they will suffer, and we don't want Kenyans to take that route, Miriam.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Javen. So a story there on the Daily Nation, just beside the front pages where brace for rallies, ban shutdowns, and we are coming to that. But down there, so that we finish up with this, story is BBI politics, why Ruto is in a catch-22 situation. Deputy President William Ruto is in a catch-22 situation about the referendum vote. Heading a no campaign could backfire should he lose, while his opponents have made it more difficult for him to join them. By ruling out any amendments to the Building Bridges Initiative report, allies of President Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga have denied the DP the soft landing he would have capitalized on to avoid a contest. And I think that's what we were talking about here yesterday. Yet, without a platform, through which he can demonstrate to his supporters that his reservations with the document may have been addressed to justify his U-turn and endorsement, the Deputy President is forced to continue with his resistance. Cash 22 for Deputy President William Ruto on matters BBI. Daniel. Professor.
Thank you. Thank you, Miriam. And let me take a stand that Karanja took yesterday by saying that the Deputy President's tribulations are machinations of his own actions. You know, first of all, the President called on the Deputy President when they are beginning their second term in 2017, late 2017, to come on board and make sure they deliver fast on the mandate that they had been handed over by the people of Kenya before they can be able to talk about the 2022 and the succession politics. But this was quite overtly ignored by the Deputy President and his allies, who went ahead to start a series of campaigns, harambes, and addressing rallies across the country. Number two, the President had a handshake in March 2018 with the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. And this was a move which was perceived to be putting to put the country on the right tracks and really unite Kenyans for a common future of prosperity and peace. And the other day at Bomas, the President revealed that the Deputy President was well aware of this, and he was briefed on this move quite adequately by the President. And even when they were forming the task force to bring together the BBI report, he was among the people who suggested three individuals who sat on the committee of experts who started the first, who offset the first draft of the BBI. Now, when the President and the former Prime Minister comes up with the report, which was the brainchild of both President Uhuru Kenyatta, William Ruto, and on the other side, the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, you see the Deputy President again coming out and really viciously attacking this document and talking in every tone that contradicts the word of his boss, who is President Uhuru Kenyatta. And therefore, he has been on a very consistent path of belligerence, path of defiance, path of always derailing the agenda of the day for President Uhuru Kenyatta. And he has gone even to the extent by his allies speaking against the Big Four agenda, which we know quite well is invaluable to the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta. And the president highly regards and dearly holds it to his heart in a bid to leave a tangible legacy at the end of his second term. So to me, I think it is not the establishment of the day which is locking William Ruto out of the BBI, but rather William Ruto made his own bed by locking himself out of the BBI. He opposed the document even before we were able to know the contents of the document, reading malice and political witch hunt from afar before anything could be confirmed from his side. So to me, I think it is William Ruto who chose a path to oppose the BBI, and for the simple reason that in the BBI, there's nothing which assures him that he will be the next president in 2022 after President Uhuru Kenyatta. And that is why perhaps he feels so much entitled for the presidency that any idea to bring new people on the board, to expand the executive so that the leadership at the top becomes inclusive, really sounds like something which is threatening his 2022 prospects. And to me, that is not the direction that we should take as a country. And therefore, he should carry his own cross, and he has all but himself to blame for whatever he's facing at the moment, Miriam. Okay. I rest at that.
Thank you. So by ruling out any amendments to the Building Bridges Initiative report, as President Kenyatta and ODM denied the DP the soft landing he would have capitalized on to avoid a contest, yet without a platform through which he can demonstrate to his supporters that his reservations will the document have been addressed to justify his U-turn and endorsement. He's been trying to make a turn slowly, but he needed somehow, according to this story, to justify why he's finally supporting the BBI. If at all some of the amendments he wanted would have been taken into account there. But the president and the ODM leader there, the people who own this process have said, no, this train already left the station. So according to the Daily Nation, this has subsequently, Professor, denied Deputy President William Ruto a soft landing. What's your opinion on that?
Miriam, this country belongs to 47 million Kenyans. It does not belong to any section of the people of this country, either the political class. We add 24 months, 2 years to give our views. Kenyans have given their views. They have been written down. We have got a roadmap on how we are going to put it in a referendum question, and we fought Miriam. You have not given your views, Miriam. Whose views are you going to amend? Whose views are you going to amend?
He's coming to amend.
The best you can do is to read, agree with the views the Kenyans have given, or you don't agree. Very democratic. If we keep on, Miriam, I have said that this country does not lack shortage of fools. You like saying so, Miriam? There is no amendment the deputy president is asking. He wants to get an excuse that his amendments have been denied so that he goes to read the no campaign. We know that. When Kenyans, we were seated, we were giving our views. The steering committee was going around the country. What was he telling Kenyans? That we are going to create positions for a few individuals. It has turned not to be the case. And Miriam, I want honestly to appeal to the people of Kenya that we cannot make a document which is going to satisfy everybody else. I am seeing the people who are fiscal challenged, the pastoralists, the farmers, the women, and everybody else. Miriam, we are not going to make a document for myself. We are making a document for posterity. And where we cannot get it right, Miriam, there is an opportunity in the future. Who tells you, Miriam, what we are writing today, the future generation will come and thrust it out? So, Miriam, the deputy president has got no choice to humbly come together, Miriam, and join his boss so that we move forward to unite the country. BBI is after uniting the country. He messed up himself and he will stand himself to blame. Even some of his andras, they are saying, they are not opposed to BBI. It is only a few things. So what I'm trying to say that we cannot make a document which pleases everybody. I think when the members of parliament went to Naivasha, they were taken through with the experts. Miriam, I saw them coming and out and saying, these things were there and we did not read them and we did not understand them just like that. As you know, yesterday, the last 2 days, we have been going point after point. And you see now it is coming out very clear. Miriam, this is the time for us to read the document. And this is the time to tell Kenyans to take a position. And I want to assume, Miriam, you are the deputy to somebody. You are a principal assistant to somebody. Why can't he just book an appointment and go and have a meeting with his boss?
And their offices.
Yes, look here. This is how this thing is, but I want it to be. Do you think his boss will just deny that opportunity? Don't you think you can be able to say this, what this? So, Miriam, negotiation and engagement is more important. You don't just go to a church, to a funeral, to a meeting, and you just say that we want this amendment, and nobody has given us those amendments, Miriam, to see whether that case is genuine or not. My submission.
Because if anything, the committee cannot consider what you're saying out there. You have to make it, you have to write it or submit it formally. And I think those channels were open to all Kenyans to do the same. So as you said, just talking about them in these roadside meetings, in rallies and church meetings and funerals, that does not count. You have to write something and, forward or go have a conversation.
You have to make a move.
Plus, their offices, president and vice president, their offices are just a walk away, so they could.
But as we talk, Miriam, what you need to know, the steering committees, their mandate is over.
It is. The train has left.
There is no steering.
Yes, and that is what this story is saying here, Karanja. That by DP insisting, because we've been trying to look as to why the DP is insisting on a non-contested referendum. Remember, yesterday we talked about it, and the other day. So, according to this story on the Daily Nation, DP is now on a catch-22 situation, and he has been, according to this story, avoiding a contested referendum because most likely he might lose, and that might might set him up for something else that maybe he's not prepared to deal with right now. So for him insisting that for this amendment, this was to give him a soft landing, because I think he feels he's an outsider, and so he wants to join this team, but he needs something to justify his U-turn to his supporters. So he needs, if at all these amendments would have been taken into consideration, he would have said, see, I told them this is what I had a problem with. Now they've changed. Now let's all get together and join this BBI train, and we have an uncontested, consensus. So apparently by President and Honorable former, Prime Minister Raila Odinga refusing to receive any more amendments, because the work is done. This has denied him a soft landing that he wanted. And yesterday we talked about the politics of self-preservation, so we were not too far from what the Daily Nation is saying today. Javen.
Thank you, Miriam. And first of all, I would like to see if William Ruto happens to support BBI at this juncture. I want him to go around this country on how he was doing the trip of fighting the BBI. And now he starts telling people why he's supporting it and what have changed, because we know the document is not going to be amended, no more proposals. Therefore, the document is going to public scrutiny as it is, and if it's going for referendum, it will be the document that we already have. Therefore, he must tell us what have changed and why he feels, what makes him feel like this document is quite good now, what makes him feel like this document is progressed. He needs to tell us, because he has been fighting the document. And what I expected him is to go head on this document and be the front runner in the no campaign. And I think now he is fearing. And this Miriam is what we call self-inflicted wounds, because he has suffered he is a victim of his own doings, because he is the one who started the no campaign. And that's why sometimes I feel silence is a very great weapon, because if William Ruto was just silent and doing his things without having all this kind of publicity that he's doing of fighting the BBI, he could not be having those kind of embarrassments that he's going through right now. He has intimidated himself, and he has nobody to blame. because he had an opportunity to support the document. He had an opportunity to present his recommendations to the steering committee, but he failed to do so. Therefore, when he feels like he wanted to take advantage of the document and to go for an uncontested referendum, so that he will hide his troops around there, so that after the referendum he'll come out fire breathing that this thing is not good. You saw how they have done that election for referendum. It was not fair. That is why I feel this document was a malice from the beginning. But now the lines have been drawn, and he has found himself in a very tight corner where he is even in a dilemma. He does not know where to go and where to begin. Because at a stand now, the president and the former prime minister are not turning back. They are on this train. The train has already left the station, and there's no chances that this train will stop anywhere to take those those passengers who have been maybe forgotten that they had a trip to board. And this is something that is so unfortunate. And the deputy president, I think now he should now start thinking of something else. Maybe he should concentrate more in his 2022 campaign, as he has been doing. And to my surprise, he has suspended and postponed such kind of for a later day. Therefore, these things are happening. And this, Miriam, when you start fighting for you forget that some things that you are doing, you are digging your own pit. And the deputy president dug his own pit, but he dug it deeper. That he has felt it, and nobody is trying to. Even if we try to take him out of that pit, it is proving difficult, because now we might also want to help him. But how can we help him and he failed to take his recommendation? How can we help him when he failed to support the document that he has been fighting? Is that not contradiction? Therefore, he is in a very tight corner, but it's him who took himself there. And I think these feelings of entitlement, that I must rule this nation, I must be, that is what is affecting our deputy president and his entire Tanga brigade. And I think moving forward, they have learned a tough political lesson. And they should know that in politics, timing is very important. They did the wrong timing, and it has affected them badly. Let him carry his own cross, and this BBI, let him read the no campaign. And Miriam, I'm fearing that he will lose terribly if we go for this no campaign. Because as it stands now, if you look at these regions, how they are divided, and the kind of politics that we have, it's likely that he will only have his strongholds in those Rift Valley counties, and the rest of the country will go for the yes campaign, and that will be an embarrassment, and that will prove that he does not have numbers, and that is what he is fearing. Because if it happens that he does not have numbers to say no, to have a greater no campaign, and to have numbers that will stop this BBI referendum, then it will be quite easy for him even to lose in the 2022 elections. And that is the predictions that he does not want to do. He does not want to be that predictable that he might lose or win in the 2022 election. That is why he feels that a contested referendum will work miracles for him at this moment.
Miracles or not, well, we need a miracle here. Thank you, Karanja, when it comes to COVID-19. And as we conclude, a very important story on the front pages of the Daily Nation. Brace for rallies ban, shut bars and curfew. COVID cases have increased in almost 300. Let me take that again. This is important. Let me not hurry. COVID cases have increased almost 350% a month since reopening, but with an economy basically in recession, Uhuru's options are severely constrained. However, he can't just stand by and do nothing. He is expected to call time on the beginning on begging going on in bars, ban the super spreader events, political rallies, and toughen the curfew. Is this enough to slow the virus down? There's also says, at a glance, number one, political rallies blamed for failing the spread of coronavirus campaign meetings are likely to be banned. Number two, schools, learners in other classes may not reopen, but those in session expected to continue. Number three, travel, commuting across the country is set to continue, but with tough measures on social distancing and masks. Number four, curfew, Kenyans face more hours under curfew as President seeks to rein in rise of COVID-19 numbers. Number 5, bars and hotels. Clubs likely to be shut, with restaurants to serve no alcohol but sale of takeaway booze allowed. So that is what Kenyans are expecting, or according to the Daily Nation, because President Uhuru Kenyatta is set to speak to the country today. But looking at that, and also we look at the Star newspaper, I want us to look at this story altogether as we conclude. Wheelbarrows, DP Ruto calls off hustler tours due to COVID-19 cases, and Deputy President William Ruto is back to the drawing board to rework his BBI strategy after President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM Raila Odinga seem to shut the door for dialogue, and because of rising COVID-19 cases. So which one? Is it because the door has been shut, or? But that is according to the Star newspaper. So in a nutshell, we are waiting to hear what the president will say. But also DP Ruto yesterday said, due to the rising cases of COVID-19, he suspended the rallies that he had planned to go to, especially in the eastern region there. So he will not be going there. So all these stories together as we conclude. We start with Javan and then we go to Daniel. Javan.
Okay, thank you very much, Miriam. And I agree that the COVID-19 cases are on rise, and if Deputy President feels like it's a good move to suspend his political gathering for the sake of Kenyans, then it's a very welcomed move. But Miriam, let's ask ourselves some questions here. William Ruto has been on the campaign since day one of the COVID-19, and he has not even, I think he has not been observing these kind of regulations, because I've seen him in public places without masks, without even observing those kind of things, and shaking hands. I remember when those numbers on the first wave, when those numbers were on rise, there was a video, a picture that was going around in the social media of him shaking hands with young kids that he was gifting a car, and that picture brought a lot of things in online, and the people are like, why is him handshaking these kids when the numbers are on rise? Therefore, William Ruto has not observed these protocols, and now I don't think he is doing that because of the rising numbers of COVID-19. Since last week, these numbers were on rise when he is coming to Mount Kenya. Those numbers were still higher. Therefore, that leaves us question: does he only care for the people outside Mount Kenya region? Because he came in Mount Kenya region, the numbers were higher, but he did not suspend those tours. He came when numbers were were on rise. But now when he is going to other regions, he has suspended. And we are left asking ourselves, does he only care for the rest of country apart from Mount Kenya region? And if that was the case, then he has done what he has done right, because now if he feels like the cases were high and they are rising and he has not observed, then those cases are in Mount Kenya, and that is where they rise the most. Miriam, and I think if you have observed him in the recent days, he has not been giving those wheelbarrows that he used to do in the beginning. And I think it's also a matter of financial constraints that maybe are affecting him. Therefore, if you look at the kind of shows that he is having, the kind of rallies that he is holding, you'll see that those rallies are not quite evangelistic as they used to be. And you see even the crowds are not that moving. Therefore, and you see even the amount of money that he is teaching out is quite reducing in numbers. Therefore, I think it's a matter of financial constraints that he has disappeared from the limelight so that he can concentrate on measuring more money. And also, I think because of the BBI and now having being torn and thrown into a disarray, now I think he has gone for back in the drawing board so that he can come up with a new strategy. Therefore, this is not more about the COVID-19, and that is my take. It's not about COVID-19, because if it was about COVID-19, he could not have even done this campaign. Therefore, he has suspended it because of his own personal interest and personal based reservations. And Miriam, we agree that it's a good move. But because at the end of the day, those gatherings will not be there, and maybe he'll save some people. But on reality, that is not what is happening. Miriam, let's also talk of the rising number of COVID-19 and the reopening of schools. Miriam, yesterday before I disappeared, I was asking a very good question. And I was saying that the professor, George Bagoha, the CS for Education, closed the schools when the numbers were on 30 cases per day, 20 cases, and now the numbers are on rise. They are planning to open the schools, but they are not telling us where they have gotten the facilities enough to ensure that the kids will observe those social distance. They are not telling us where they have gotten those donations to ensure that they have enough masks and sanitizers in the schools and the waters in those schools that don't have. Therefore, these are kind of things that is bringing confusion. And the professor for education, CS, has been treating Kenyans to some funny kind of surprises every day and then. And Miriam, what was the purpose of closing the schools then if we are opening when the numbers are high? Therefore, the purpose of closing the school was to ensure that our kids are safe at home. Then the CS here is telling us that our kids will be safe when they are in schools. Now, this kind of contradictory messages coming from a super CS and a professor who has been in education sector and in the head and in the reading head in neck is quite unacceptable at this moment. Because Miriam, we understand that if these kids are at home, if parents came with that disease in home and they infect that kid will take that disease to school, and that spread will be quite higher. And what he is telling us is not the case from what understanding and common sense takes. Because let kids stay in school, in home. We have already lost this year. Let the kids continue enjoying their festive that is around the corner, so that when we reopen the schools in January, maybe these numbers will be quite lower, and we'll be quite sure that our kids will be safe. Now we have seen that even a school in Busia have closed down after having 52 students infected with this disease. Therefore, this is something that is very serious, and I think even the president should ensure that such occurrences don't happen. And finally, we have talked of I expect the president to do on this particular day. I think what the president should do, he should tighten these measures to ensure that Kenyans observe these protocols, even if it's ensuring that a small force is taken into place. And to ensure that, I think something that he must make it a kind of a mandatory is wearing of mask. I think people should be made to wear this mask even if it takes force, because at the end of the day, when you have that code, you'll protect spreading to your brother. And he also ensure that he closes those social gatherings, especially the nightclubs, the bars, and so on, so that we ensure that our cases will start roaring. Also ensure that he bans those political gatherings, so that we, as we go for this, even as we prepare for referendum. And I think when you look at the timelines that we have for the BBI and the referendum, it is not a matter of do or die. It is all around June next year. And all these other processes that are ongoing, they will take a minimum number, because it's the county assemblies, the parliament, and these is places where public and social distance can be observed. Therefore, let him ban these political gatherings, let him ban bars, and let him ensure that schools are not reopened. And if the curfew, and you should ensure that the curfew begins at a bit area, so that Kenyans will go back to their homes and avoid loitering around the centers where they spread this disease. Right. Thank you, Miriam. That is my observation as I wait the president state address
today. All right, even as we wait for that, students in first, second and third year in universities, as well as technical and vocational centers, will resume classes today. All right, so brace for rallies, ban, shut bars, curfew, and then DP Ruto calls off hustler tours due to COVID rising cases there. Daniel, there are issues, and I saw when he posted this on Twitter, and Kenyans had a lot to say. Others saying, perhaps you're broke, perhaps it's the stories about the ICC, or maybe it's just the BBI. You've been cornered, and now you don't know what to do, so you have to go back. So what do you make of this?
Yes, thank you, Miriam, and I'll tend to be quite brief so that Prof comes in immediately. I think when you look at it, the ICC issue where lawyer Gisheru surrendered to the Hague court is a game changer in this, because previously William Ruto has been very defiant to the measures in regards to COVID-19, has been very defiant in being subdued to support the BBI agenda. So it couldn't be the BBI nor the COVID-19 cases rising, but the core of his abrupt decision and change of heart lies with the ICC. That is how I perceive it, Miriam. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Professor. End it for us.
Yeah, Miriam, when it comes to COVID-19, you know my stand. We have made a lot of progress as a country. When it came, we did not have rules. When it came, we did not have facilities. And now, Miriam, at least we have got protocols which we can follow, Miriam. And the COVID-19, Miriam, is to wash your hands, keep social distance, sanitize, and wear a mask. And Miriam, with COVID-19, what you need to know here is, it is just like another disease. Now, just come. We have seen people getting it and they get well and continue with their normal life. And those ones who get it, and Miriam, especially those who have got terminal cases, they succumb. So what I want to say, Miriam, is this. Am I on?
Yes, go ahead. We're listening.
What I want to say is this, Miriam, we are not going. And I hope the president is hearing me when he will be addressing it. We are not going to cross the country because of a few individuals who don't want to comply with the law and comply with regulations. We need those regulations to be enforced, Miriam. We cannot make 5 steps forward and then, Miriam, we make seven behind. We will be going to negatives. So, Miriam, this is where we stand now. And what from where I stand, what I expect, Miriam, is that more facilities should be put in our hospitals, and this is where the governor should be looking for more resources, so that when you get COVID-19, Miriam, you will go to hospital, you will be treated, you will be isolated. This way we at least know what to do. And like when it came, we did not know, we were in panic, we were in fear, and I entirely agree with Professor Magua that our children are safe in school. Like now, what happened to Corona High School? Corona High School is my school. That's where I went through high school. Oh. When those students were tested and were found having those, they were attended to, they were isolated to. So, Miriam, what you need to do, there are some equipment and masks lying at KEMSA. Those ones should be... I don't really understand what happened in this country, Miriam. Even if they were procured at an exorbitant price, Miriam, who are they helping in the store? And we have already lost money.
They're being wasted away.
Now we have lost money. So those equipment be given to the county government, to schools, and we ensure this, Miriam, then we move on. So what I'm trying to say, basically, Miriam, here is, may we comply with all the protocols. I'm telling you, Miriam, the wearing of the mask itself, it will prevent you. Washing your hands will prevent you. Keeping social distance will do that. So that's where that's my stand. In terms of the deputy president stopping his rallies, he's trying to preempt, because I know the president, one of the things he's going to do is going to ban this kind of political gathering. That is being clever and going ahead and a little bit trying to be very mischievous. He knows that one. We are going to ban those ones. All the gathering must be banned. My take about the curfew, Miriam. Let us follow the law. Let us follow the rules, and we will be just okay, Miriam.
Safe. Very well said. Thank you so much, Professor Jared Onyari. Thank you, Daniel Wesonga. Thank you, Jevan Karanja. We will take a short break, and then we shall be back here on top of the hour at 11 a.m. to look at, as we continue reviewing the BBI. And today we will focus our attention on corruption, because BBI has addressed that, and see, where we are and what are some of the proposals there, because corruption is another pandemic that we need to take care of as a country. So what is the BBI saying? Or what are the proposals? Or what did Kenyans say in regards to the fight against corruption? So we shall see you at the top of the hour to look at that. My name is Miriam Ogotu. This has been Good Morning Africa. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in a short bit.